So my name is Anna. I work with Engage by Cell. We are the providers of the technology we're going to talk about today. I am lucky enough to have Tony here with me. I worked with Tony directly for the build of the tours we're going to talk about. And Tony, I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of your role at Puget Sound Energy.
Great. Yeah. Hi, I'm Tony Fuchs. I am a wildlife biologist and recreation planner for Puget Sound Energy for our two hydropower projects. Snoqualmie Falls is one of them, and our Baker River project is another. And Snoqualmie is a very famous waterfall. And that's where I get to work. And we have a park there. So that's what this is about.
Not a bad office space, I would say. So a little bit about Engage by Cell before we get started. We've been around for a little over 15 years, and we provide cloud-based solutions like text messaging, mobile web apps, touring tools, fundraising tools, and the services we're going to chat about today. These are just a few of the clients we work with. It's everyone from museums to parks to city visitor services systems and a lot more. Tony, I'll let you get into Snoqualmie Falls and Puget Sound Energy's role in this project.
Okay. Well, as you can see in the photo, there's a major waterfall in eastern part of King County, Washington. And a long time ago, they developed it into a hydropower project in the 1890s. And there's two powerhouses. One is an underground powerhouse, and then you can see the above ground powerhouse downstream of the falls there. In the 1970s, we developed a big park in the area, and about 15 years ago, we started the redevelopment of the whole entire project, upgrades of the park and the powerhouses and all of that, and created an information and education program out there. And we've been meaning to get to this project, this program, having some sort of an online app that you can virtually tour the project and have a bunch of information about it. We kind of did that with our museum when it came online, but now we finally got to it for the falls. It's a very popular place. It's about 20 miles east of Seattle, pretty easy access for a lot of people. And we get a couple million visitors every year from basically all over the world.
And you mentioned we've worked with the museum specifically for, I think, 6 years now to create mobile tours for the Hydroelectric Museum, which is just across the street from the park and the falls. We couldn't have our main contact there today. She couldn't make it, but Tony, you mentioned yesterday a little bit about what they were looking for when they came to Engage by Cell for mobile tours. I think you said they wanted something that could have more content than what was just in the building, something that visitors could do after they left the site. Could you speak a little bit about the issues they were looking to solve with the tours?
Sure. I mean, when you go to a museum like this, there's so much content. And we also have 3 different buildings, one housing a generation unit, building that has a bunch of our artifacts in it, and then a building that has a lot of our documents and other things that are historic. We also have a little movie theater attached to it. So there's videos to watch, and basically a lot of stuff that if you're going to go visit there for 45 minutes or something like that, you're not going to be able to see it all. So how can you get all of that information in a way that you can maybe look at it later, or and so having it online was one way that we wanted to do that. Also, they do what they call a scavenger hunt, which people can do while they're there. It can lead you to finding out things, looking for some article or looking for some item or some, it gets you around to actually look at things you might not look at if you were just walking around breezing through the place. It's also a way I guess if you want to know about who are the people that are coming there, that sign up for this kind of thing, it's nice because then we can kind of get a gauge of that too. We're not really worried too much about who's coming, but we do also want, to know how many people are interested in all the things that we have out there. But in terms of the museum, it was our first shot at it with Engage by Cell, and it went really well. So we also decided to do it in the park.
Yeah. And there's actually a little QR code here. If you guys have your phone near you, which you probably do, you can pull your camera out and scan that and actually click around on the museum's mobile web app. So the technology they used was an audio guide and a smartphone tour. And the audio guide is a call service where someone would dial a number. They'd click whatever prompt number was associated with maybe what they were looking at or what they wanted to learn more about, and they would get an audio recorded message, kind of like a docent-led tour without a docent. And then the smartphone tour kind of takes that a step further, where you can have more content than just audio. You can have text, you can have video, you can have audio clips on that page as well. You can have photos. And like Tony mentioned, you can build scavenger hunts. So if you scan that and click fun and games, you can go see all the different kinds of scavenger hunts and quizzes that you can take that have to do with hydroelectricity and the history of the site and all that good stuff. The smartphone tour, we call it a mobile web app because it's not an app where you have to go to the Apple store and download it onto your phone and then wait for it to download and then click on it and it takes up space. That was a big concern and complaint from a lot of visitors at other clients' sites, where they said, I'm not going to download an app for this 30-minute visit I have. So this is just far more accessible. As you can see, you can scan a QR code and get straight to it. You can click a link and get straight to it. And it's accessible on a desktop, on a tab, anywhere that you have internet. Basically, you could check out this tour. So if someone leaves and they didn't get a chance to learn more about how Tesla discovered a current, they could read more about it off-site.
It's incredibly easy. It's funny. You just scan it with your phone, and all of a sudden you're clicking on our site. It's great. Yeah, you don't have to download anything.
Yeah, much easier. These are pictures that I actually took. So I went up to Snoqualmie Falls and I met with Tony, and he gave me a tour of the entire park and the museum. And it's just awesome to see kind of the way you market these tools. So by a lot of the specific pieces or displays, they'll have a little plaque that says, if you want to hear more about this, you can call this number, dial number 29. And then they also have QR codes elsewhere to access the tours. So it's cool to see it in action.
We really have a lot to read there, but it's also, you can get it audio, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yep.
So cut to 7 years later, Tony, can you talk about your ideas of what this technology could do for the park and your initiatives when we started working together?
Sure. I mean, one of the things about going to Snoqualmie Falls is people initially go there to see the falls, but there's a lot more to see. And so when people get there, they're kind of like wandering around, well, what is there to see here? And then you go to a kiosk and you see this topographic map with a couple of items on it, and, it kind of shows you where you might go. It's intuitive for me because I'm a mapping person, but for a lot of other people, they look at the map and they go, oh, you're here, but where do I go? So anyway, one of the things we wanted to have on this app was a map to help with wayfinding around the park. And the upper park, because there's two parts of the park, has 3 viewpoints: a gift shop, wetlands, and a bunch of points of interest And then the lower park has 2 viewpoints for the falls, and information kiosks and things. So there's other displays out there too. So it was really a way to point out to people, hey, here's all the things that you can see when you're here at the park. We have had in since the redevelopment of a lot of brochures, and the brochures have a map that is very similar to this right here. We'd find a lot of them in the bushes and in the garbage cans, and it's like some people, they just grab them and toss them after they're done, and we didn't really want to. I mean, we probably will still provide some brochures, but that wasn't what we wanted, was people tossing. We wanted people to be able to read these and bring them home with them, and show people, hey, I went here and look at what we did and what we saw. Also, there was so much opportunity for additional learning that we saw from the app that we had in the museum, for videos and audio clips, a little bit more of an in-depth description of what you're seeing when you're out there than what we could provide on signs. And so that was the other big part of it. And then in the future, we could even add other languages too, if we wanted, which is something that I've been thinking about as an upgrade to this, because we get so many people from all around the world coming out there, that it would be nice to have some type of, language bank where they could, at least for the points of interest, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Have them in different languages. So.
And I've got another QR code here. If you guys want to scan that, you can actually check out their app, and then you click on interactive map and it will take you to the map. And if it asks you for location services, you just click don't allow, because otherwise it'll pull you off and take you to wherever you are, Dallas, Texas, or Nashville, and you don't want to do
that. To Texas, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll speak to the technology a little bit. So our GPS mapper is basically creating your own interactive map with location services. So most of the time when folks come to us wanting the solution, it's for wayfinding, navigation, spatial awareness. And then it's just a plus that there's clickable points of interest where you can learn a lot more about a display, about what's around you. And Tony, you mentioned it actually shows people in one snapshot what's available at the park. Because when you first walk into the park, you might not even know that there's 2 power plants. One's underground, and then the other one you have to walk down a trail to get to. I think you mentioned you spoke with someone who said, I didn't even know there was a trail here until
they looked at the map on here and they go, oh wow, look at all the things you can see. Oh, there's a trail to another park. Wow, I'm going to take that. So that was the wayfinding thing that we wanted to do, is because people, they get out of their cars, just kind of start wandering around. But if you can get them to download the app and look at it, then maybe that helps with their experience.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful, even logistically, to know where a restroom is, a gift shop, to remember where you parked and where you're at and how long you have to.
You can't believe how many times people have asked where the parking lot is.
Yeah.
But having that on their phone is really nice, because then they can kind of self-guide themselves.
All right.
And we don't have any guides in the park. We have people that maintain the park facilities, but occasionally maybe we'll have interns that work at our museum in the park for some occasion. But most of the time we don't have people in the park guiding people. Those are all tours that we set up that are specially set up tours.
Yeah.
So on a daily basis, we don't have anybody in the park to help people with wayfinding and interpretive. So this has been really great.
And there is so much information. It says here you have themes of nature, history, culture, and hydropower. there's a lot of things to learn there, whether it's about the plants or about the history with the tribe or just about the actual trees around you on the trail. So it definitely provides an opportunity to put unlimited content and keep updating it as things change and progress and things.
The park is really unique in a way, and that is that you have so much natural beauty there. You have the waterfall, which is humongous. It's 270 feet tall, and it's just this huge, plunge pool area. And the trail and forest area, we have old growth trees in there that are 250 feet tall. There's a lot of people have never seen a tree like that. We've got massive trees. And
Yeah.
so it's really pretty cool. You have somebody from Florida that's not used to seeing super tall trees come in there and they're like, wow. And you can go up and hug them.
I think that was the furthest north I have ever been. I grew up in Alabama. I'm from Tennessee, and that was the first time I've ever been to the Pacific Northwest, and it was magical, I'm pretty sure I said. So,
And so we're cognizant of what's going on out there. It's a developed hydropower project area, but we've been really trying very hard to keep the natural beauty, to protect trees and protect native habitats and all of that. And so that's why when we're talking about these themes of history and culture with hydropower and nature, it's all really tied together.
yeah.
You know.
I got a
So
question here that says it seems to have two separate museums. So maybe you can speak to this more. There's not two separate museums. It was two projects and two builds, maybe you could say. So there's a museum app, and then there's a full park app that has this map that we're looking at that includes the nature trails, that includes the plant number 2. You could probably speak more to that, Tony.
Right. So during the redevelopment process of our hydropower project, we had to demolish some old historic buildings, the old machine shop and the transformer house. To offset those effects to our historic district, we moved uh, um, a couple of our buildings to, a depot building and a carpenter shop building to one spot. And we built another building to house the unit number 5 generator that was in the cavity, the underground cavity up above, and made that into a historic area. That's on the south side of the river, the opposite side of the falls, above the falls from the park area. So geographically, they're different areas. And the museum area was made to offset the effects that we had to our historic buildings that we had to remove. The park itself is open every day to the public during daylight hours. The museum is open seasonally, Wednesday through Sunday. So it's not open all the time. They're two different geographic areas. So they're just being managed a little bit different. The park is open all the time, except at night.
Also have some, so these are some pictures Tony actually sent over of how you market the tool. And that's a question I get all the time. So we've built this. How do you get people to actually use it? This has only been live for, I think, less than 2 months at this point.
I think it was July when I put these stickers out there and we went live. Yep.
So this is kind of your first iteration, and we'll talk about results kind of at the end, but we were talking actually before about changing some things up about this and new ideas to market the tool. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, these are decals that we put on our existing signs. We already have a lot of signage in the park, a lot of information education signs and wayfinding signs. And we thought just initially to get this thing rolling, that an inexpensive and easy way to get this out there in front of the public was to develop some decals that had the QR code on it. We designed them to look nice. I think one of the things that Anna and I are talking about is renaming this. so that it's more intuitive when you look at that sticker, what it's all about. And right now it's not real intuitive when someone just walks by the, oh, hey, look at there. I can open an app, you know. So I think we're going to redo the stickers. I'm also planning to build one or two signs that are going to be out there that are similar to these. These are like porcelain signs. Our area there, it's really wet all the time because, well, not all the time, but a lot of the time, because we have so much mist that comes up into the air, that we had to make sure all of our signs are pretty waterproof.
Yeah.
You know about that when you were there. You know, you go
Yeah,
out to the point and you get soaked.
it was
So
surprising. You're pretty far away from the falls, but it feels like you're under a rain cloud. It's
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was our shot at getting the information out to the public right now. Pretty much, we never really have a off season for recreation at the falls, but we do have between Memorial Day and Labor Day. You know, there's a lot more people because people are in school or on vacation, they're out looking for things to do. But we do get a constant flow of people throughout the year through the park. But we wanted to get this out this summer so that, you know, when the majority of users are out there, they could use this. And it's kind of our first shot at it. So there's always something to tweak, you
Yeah.
know, make things better. So that's what our next step is to tweak some of the things that we know we want to improve.
Yeah. And we should talk a little bit about our process in building this before we take questions. So every client is a little bit different. Some clients completely do it in-house. They already have their maps. They have a team of people who are going to build this out. And the platform is drag and drop. So it's fairly easy to build. I mean, at the museum, interns actually go in and they update all the information on it, and they'll build out scavenger hunts. But in some cases, Engage by Cell does a lot of that. So I was actually lucky enough to go to Snoqualmie Falls and walk around with Tony. And I brought a tape recorder. We recorded some audio clips you can hear if you're looking at the map later after the call and you want to listen to some of those. It's actually Tony talking to me on site. And we created that overlay that you saw earlier. Oftentimes, an organization might not have a map that is to scale or geographically accurate. So we will kind of help make a pretty version of a topographical map, maybe you could call it. And then we place that over our maps. The location services are more accurate in the tool. And then Tony provided me with a ton of content, and we just kind of take that and pop it in the app where it's relevant, and it's a living, breathing tool. So we'll probably continue to update the information we have. You mentioned you might use it to market some events and things like that, Tony.
Right. We have a lawn area out there called the Centennial Green, and people are asking for, you know, using it for like a music site, or, you know, there's actually been quite a number of weddings that we've held there. And just some information about how you might go about scheduling something like that.
Yeah.
Other things would be, like we say, tours. We do have school groups that come through. We have international groups that are having maybe a conference in Seattle. They put them all in a bus and drive them out there, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have somebody to tour them around, but if we don't, we can use this this app for that kind of a tour. So yeah, there's and then the other thing I was talking about before was maybe even starting to go into other languages. We'll see if I can pull something like that off, but that'd be pretty cool. It's more on my side providing the content, because you guys are really good at that. But if we have languages, so you guys probably might not have that, but we might at PSE have that because we're a utility. We have millions of customers, and we have a language bank for our customers. So I might be
Oh
able to
yeah,
tap into.
that's pretty common. We have a few clients that'll do multi-language tours, and oftentimes they already have their content
Mhm.
probably translated, and then we just pop it into a new tour. So um, you mentioned earlier looking at reporting to actually see the types of people that are using it. That's another great thing about having this tool, is it has data with it. So since this park's smartphone tour launch, which was less than 2 months ago, the site itself has had over 2,000 visitors. And the map specifically has had 3,000 page views. So that is pretty good for the first go around with marketing the tool and it only being available for a couple of months. And we were looking through reports and looking at map tap reports. Do you remember, Tony? And it was interesting to see maybe where folks were more interested in learning about specific points of interest. And it can kind of give you more data about where people stop along the park as well.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You could actually see what people are interested in. We're not trying to use this to track people or anything like that. We're trying to
Yeah.
use the information to make it better for the people that are using this. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see what they were interested in. Um, and you can see in the photo right there, we do have uh, viewpoints and lots of things to see around the park. So the other thing that was neat is it listed all of the, what we call them, points of interest, and
Yeah.
each one of them that was touched on. So you know, some of the points of interest, I don't know that they had very many touches on them, but some of them had a lot. And if we wanted to go to the ones that had a lot on it and look at it, make sure that, maybe if they're really interested in that, maybe we make sure we have the content as rich as we can for those. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
All of the viewpoints, I was looking at it yesterday, all of the viewpoints had a lot of taps. I think that's because when you get there, you're looking for the best view of the falls. So that's a big advantage to be able to see all five of the points that you can just walk directly to.
yeah,
And
like the Peregrine viewpoint's my favorite. Just it gives you a really good context for it. I could, we could, you know, put a Tony's 5 stars, or anyway, no, but no, each one of the points of interest out there are a kind of a unique thing, and the for wayfinding activity, it's nice to see that there actually are going to seeing all these things and reading about them. Um, I wouldn't have known if we didn't have this, if people are even reading our signs. And here we have data that shows they are now, or at least.